Hello, it's April from April's Home, and today I'm here with a fun Valentine's Day craft. I am doing some more decoupaging. I had a lot of fun in October making a decoupaged paper mache pumpkin for Halloween time, and so I thought I would do some more decoupage this Valentine's Day using these fun wooden hearts. I found these wooden hearts at Amazon, and I will go ahead and link that in the description box below. It comes with some twine to hang them, and it's got 2 points here to go ahead and hang those. There are 4 in this package. I'm not sure if I'll do all 4. I'm at least going to do 2, but I might go ahead and do all 4. It just depends on how this goes. I'm only going to do one side in this case because I'm going to go ahead and hang these like a little wreath on my doorways. I've got my Mod Podge ready to go, both matte and glossy. Usually start with the matte and then end with the glossy. Got my nice little decoupage scissors. I will go ahead and link these also in the description box below. I also got those from Amazon. And also I picked up this Valentine ephemera collection also from Amazon. And you can see it's got lots of really cute vintage Valentines and note cards and tags and things like that to cut out. So I think that this is going to be a ton of fun. Lots of pretty and cute items here. I'm going to go ahead now and look through my book here and cut out what I think I'll use, my favorite pictures from this book here, and then I'll get that laid out and get started on my craft. I'll share some of that process with you as this craft goes along. It's kind of a long process. I usually put down some of the Mod Podge on the surface I'm decoupaging, lay down whatever I'm going to decoupage onto the surface, and then Mod Podge over that, and then let that dry, and usually I do another layer or 2. So that is how this process goes. It's pretty fun. It's a nice relaxing craft. It's a little bit messy, so I will also be laying down probably some wax paper on my surface here once I get into the Mod Podge so I don't ruin my table. So that is my Valentine's craft today. I'm excited to do that. I'm going to come back and share with you the pictures that I've decided to decoupage onto these wooden hearts. Okay, so using this Valentine Vintage Ephemera collection, I went through and I picked out a bunch of different images. I just roughly cut them out for now and kind of laid them out to see if I had a good start. A lot of times I'll get started and I'll still need something to fill in. There is quite a bit more in this book that I can cut out, but I picked out my favorites and kind of am laying it out roughly to see what I want to do. I also decided to grab some of my packs of ephemera paper that I also picked up at Amazon. They've got some just really pretty base papers that I thought I would go ahead and glue on the background first and then lay things over. That way I don't have to overlap too much and lose out on the vintage images. I can just overlay them on this background paper like that. Looks really nice like that. So I got out this pack of paper for the vintage, like more Victorian images that I printed out. Then I found this ephemera paper that is like advertisement, looks like advertisement paper or just like newspaper print and stuff like that. For this one here, I'm going to do one that's all vintage Valentines, sort of the more cutesy ones from mid-century and whatnot, and then 2 that are Victorian. And I might hang these 2 from each other, like one on top of the other, so that it makes like a hanging of 2 hearts with the Victorian design. So I'll try to coordinate those 2 like that. And then this one I was thinking I would hang separately down my hallway on the kids' playroom door. I think that that would look really super cute. So I think my grandkids will enjoy a more childish cute one like this. And this one I will probably hang on my coat closet. So now I'm going to go ahead and take the time. This is probably the more time-consuming part of this activity, to cut each image out the way that I want it finalized, and start laying down some of my background paper on the 3 hearts. I will probably save this heart for next year, and that way I can do another one next year if I'd like. So I'm going to go ahead now and get started cutting these out, and I'll come back and show you how I'm progressing. Here I have taken my background paper and I've glued it sort of in a patchwork pattern all over the front of this heart here. And I go ahead and flip it around back so you can see what it looks like from the back here. And I will just trim all those edges up. I just wanted to be sure to completely cover the heart in background paper first. I had to piece in a few other pieces. To not waste paper, I cut a couple in half, and I will save all these scraps too, just in case I need them for this project. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to this heart here. And again, I just start by adding a nice layer of Mod Podge right to this surface here. I just brush it on until it's a nice thin layer, like so, and cover that completely, and then lay down my paper. Here I have a matching sort of pack of paper to these two. Luckily, this pack of paper came with 2 each, so I was able to kind of do a matching background, at least for each of these hearts. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry and get started on my second one here. When this dries, I'll go ahead and trim it up, and then we can start laying down our other ephemera here in a nice coordinating sort of layout on both hearts, so that we have a nice design when we're all done. And as far as the little holes go, I will punch through with something little, like a little a pin from the back, and then I'll probably come through with a skewer from the front and just make sure that that's all glued in and nice. Once we're completely done with our project here, I'll probably draw a black dot where those are, so that when I'm laying out my other ephemera, I don't put a crucial part of the design right where a hole is going to go through it. So this is how it's coming along. This is such a nice, relaxing process. I love working with all this ephemera and paper. I've always really enjoyed paper crafting. So this is very, very fun. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the next heart, and I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, I got both of the hearts here for the Victorian ephemera all cut out. I did not use my decoupage scissors to trim around this, because once it has glue on it, I wouldn't want to use my nice scissors here that I like to use for real detailed cutting. Instead, I just grabbed an old pair of Fiskars scissors here that I use for just like rough crafting like this. I can just rinse these off, no problem. But that way I don't ruin my good decoupage scissors. So I've got both of these cut out, and this one is still drying here for the other item. So I'm going to start kind of laying out my ephemera here to see where I would like everything to roughly go. Next, I have laid out all of the different pictures that I've chosen. I realized I had doubles on this one here, so I've left that out because it's too similar to the little stamp here, and I like that one a little bit better with the stamp detail. So I've also tried to make sure to have pops of red in different parts of all the hearts, as well as the blue. There's a lot of blue running through here on some of these pictures, so I just wanted to make sure that that was laid out correctly how I like it. And now I'm going to get started gluing it down. So again, I'll lift one up and put glue both under it and over it, and of course we'll be trimming off any of the edges that end up sticking over this item here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that right now. My first heart is mostly done here with its first layer of Mod Podge. I've got everything down where I wanted. I did move around a few more pieces, and I found a couple more things to tuck in here and there. This right here is a common problem sometimes when you're decoupaging, especially with thinner paper. I tapped my finger down instead of the brush, and it was just a little bit tacky rather than still very wet glue. I was trying to adhere this picture here to this one, but my finger, when it lifted off, it pulled a bit of the print away. So what I'm going to do is, after this first layer dries, I'm going to go in with just some little pens and maybe some watercolor or something. I'm not sure what will adhere to the surface of Mod Podge here, so I might have to use I'm not sure what, maybe some inks or something like that, just to kind of take away that little white spot there. And then of course, when everything dries, I'll be giving it a coat of the glossy finish. Now I'm going to go ahead and get started on this one. I think I'm going to go ahead and bring out my tripod so you can watch a little bit of the process of me gluing this down. Here is my next one ready to go. I've kind of got this laid out. I like to lay it out so I know what's going to overlap, so I know what to lay down first. I think that'll go kind of like that. And I also want to try to avoid any going off the edge. So I might swap things around a little bit, like so. Yeah, you just kind of have to play around with it a little bit just to see. Like, I don't mind losing that little corner, but I don't want to lose the top of it too much. So I'm going to continue playing around with that a little bit, and then I'm going to start gluing it down. When I glue it down, I kind of keep my eye on it. I have a little extra piece here too, just in case I need something to fill in. So I think I'm happy with this placement here. So I'm going to take off the ones that I know are going over the top of another one. Just kind of taking them off the edge here, and then I'm going to start gluing them down. Again, I'm just going to take a little bit of my Mod Podge here. I've got a sponge brush. You can use other brushes too, just like so. Kind of clean off a little bit of that. And then just put a thin layer of glue on the background here. Also, you can add some to the back of your picture. Just like so. It's a little bit of a messy process. A lot of times I will keep a little wet towel nearby just so I avoid getting my hands completely covered in glue. I've had this glue open for a little bit of time. I stopped this project for a bit and cooked, so it's a little bit thicker than I would like, but that's okay. Okay, and then just glue that down. In a minute I will lay glue over the top too, but I like to kind of get the placement of the pictures first while I'm doing this before I start laying down glue above it, or on top of it, I should say. Again, this is a really nice and relaxing craft. It's really enjoyable to pick out the placement of everything and get it just the way you like. And of course, at the end, I'll be trimming off any overhanging pieces here. And I'm just going to come in and check how this will fit, just so that I can pull it down as low as I need to go. Okay. And again, it's okay if you overlap the picture next to it, because of course this is all going to get covered in glue, Mod Podge glue. And you can move it, you can slide it back and forth ever so slightly when you first set it down, so that way you can make sure to get it in aligned correctly. Okay, so there's that. So I'm going to keep working on this process, and I'll come back and update you on how it's going. I also decided I would go ahead and embellish these pictures once they're completely dry. Here's my first one that I've done. It is currently completely dry. Of course, I'm going to add another layer of gloss Mod Podge to the top of this. And then I also thought that I would embellish this with some glitter. So I'm going to put a bead of glue along the outside edge and get out some of my glitters to pick out the best one to coordinate with this. But I'll do that when I'm completely done Mod Podging everything and it's completely dry. Then we'll add our layer of glue. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. One thing I love to do while I am decoupaging here is I love to listen to an audiobook. So I have purchased an audiobook on my Audible, and I'm going to go ahead and listen to a cozy mystery bookshop on the corner while I work away at my decoupage here. Sometimes I just do it in a nice quiet area with no music or no audiobooks playing, but today I felt like enjoying an audiobook while I continue working on my decoupage. So I'll be back to update you with how this is looking. Okay, so I've got everything laid down and glued down. Some of them I didn't align quite as well as I could have, but I think once I get everything on here, it will still look fine. The nice thing about decoupage is it kind of ends up being a little layered looking and a little pieced together looking. So it's a very forgiving craft as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a layer of Mod Podge over the top. Some of these I've already got a layer over. If I was laying a couple of items on the top, I just wanted to be sure, get glue over that. But there are a few here, like the top of this one, that haven't had their top coating yet of Mod Podge. So again, I'll just take my Mod Podge and start laying on a thin layer of Mod Podge here, just like so, just nice and gently. Occasionally if I need a little bit of glue, I'll press down on the sponge and then just gently wipe it over the top, making sure to thin out the layer and kind of keep going over my brush strokes so that there's no big glob of glue in any one area. And of course this will dry clear, so you'll be able to see the image just perfectly fine through the glue. At first when you're gluing it down, it looks like it's going to be all foggy, but it doesn't stay like that. It gets nice and clear. As you can see, just going over this in a nice layer. And the more you layer over the other pictures too, the better that they're all going to adhere to each other. And you'll want to get the outside edge too here, so that all has a uniform amount of the Mod Podge glue also. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on layering my first layer of the matte Mod Podge all over the top of this, and I'll come back and update you with my progress. Okay, now I'm on to this one here with the vintage children's Valentine cards, and I needed a little picture for right here. I felt like that space was too blank, and I really wanted one of the Valentines in here that was this little airplane, but the print in here was far too big for that space, so I went ahead and just made a simple little color copy on my printer and reduced it to 50% so that it will fit. So that's another tip you can do if you have these books. Just print them out and reduce them a little bit so that you can use it like that. The paper in here is better than just standard copy paper, and also you'd run through a lot of ink. That's why actually I really prefer the books, but occasionally I will need to reduce something. So that's what I did here. I'm going to go ahead and get that cut out and put in our little space there. All three of my hearts are now dry and they have their final glossy coat. For each of these hearts, I added a final layer of the gloss Mod Podge, so you can see that they are all done now. They have a nice shine to them. And now I've picked out a couple of glitters. I'm going to go ahead and use this garnet glitter on this one here. I feel like this has a lot of reds in it. And then for the two Victorian ones, I'm going to go ahead and use this one. It says it's, I believe, Kunzite color, but it's just a really nice light pink. And I thought it was a little bit of a subtler pink to match some of these more muted Victorian tones. So next I'm going to go ahead and add a layer of glue to the edges. I can't decide if I'm going to use the Elmer's clear or if I'm going to go ahead and use the clear tacky gel, so I may experiment a little bit off to the side before I decide which ones I'm going to go ahead and use, and then get the edges glittered. Then we'll get the ribbons on and get them hung up. Okay, I decided to go ahead and use the tacky glue. I liked the way that it was holding its shape as a bead of glue along the edges there. You can see I've over sprinkled the glitter. This is a finer glitter, so it kind of goes along there. I will be saving this glitter. As I tap it off, I'll be sure and save that and funnel it back into this container. That's what I always do with my glitters for the most part. I'm going to go ahead and let this edge set up though a little bit before I tap off the excess glitter and before I do the second half. I have completed my Valentine's Day decoupage wall hanging project here. I've added some ribbon. I got out my ribbon box here and I found this really pretty ribbon here that I had gotten a long time ago at the Target dollar spot. So that was really pretty. I thought that that matched that one really nicely. And then I didn't have any just a basic red ribbon. It was all very patterned. So I picked this up when I was at the store the other day in Hobby Lobby. So I picked that up for the red one there. And then I just added the ribbon. You can see how the glitter turned out here. I will say if you are making this, you have to wait, I would say overnight, for the last glossy layer of Mod Podge to completely set up. When I did it, it wasn't all the way set up, so a lot of the glitter adhered to this. So they're very glittery right now, but I still love the way that they turned out. You can see the cute little Valentines there with the pretty glitter and then the ribbon to hang it. So that's how that one turned out. And then here is the Victorian one. Here you can see I've done it double layer. I'll show you the back in a minute so you can see how I hooked this on here. So I just tied these ribbon on and then this one to the back so that they can hang one below the other. So I'll go ahead and flip this around. So here is how I went ahead and did that with the red ribbon too. I just knotted, just pushed the ribbon through and then knotted it twice so that it wouldn't go through the holes that were already there. And then to add the hanging ribbon from this top one here, I just put a little E6000 glue down and then I cut a little strip of the red ribbon just to give it a little added stability and a little bit more E6000 glue over that, and then I pressed that down. So and then the top one is just the same as this one, just knotted there at the top with a nice little loop so that we can hang these. So now I'm going to go ahead and hang these up on the door here across from my dining room and show you how they look hanging up. So here it is hanging up on my little closet doorway here across from my dining room. I always keep a command hook up there because I'm always hanging seasonal decor on this doorway here. You can see that it hangs really nicely and the glitter picks up the light, which I think is really pretty. It's a very gray day today. We're having a bit of a rainstorm, so I've brought in some light here just so you can see that a little bit better, but it looks really pretty here. Now I'll go ahead and show you what the other one looks like hanging. And here is the red one hanging up. This is the one that I've made for the room to my grandchildren's playroom. I have a playroom here for them, and I thought this would be really cute hanging on their doorway. I just need to get a command hook for that door. I don't have one on that door currently, so I thought I would just show you what it looks like hanging here. Very cute, nice, simple decor here. For a doorway. So this was a really super fun project. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at this fun Valentine's Day project. And I hope you decide to do a little bit of crafting and decoupage as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.